Hello and welcome, I'm Dexba, and this is the Buchla Quad Sample and Hold Model 264T. I know that usually people associate the sample and hold sound with randomness and blip-blops, like these ones coming from the 266 sampling noise as a source, but the 264 is on a mission to make great use of this feature. For example, why did I call it a quantizer? And what is a quantizer anyway? And there is also this cheeky additional text on the bottom saying polyphonic adapter. We have some explaining to do. First of all, let's check out the layout. This part right here, sort of the lower portion of the module, is what was present in the original, while the upper part with the art outputs, the tune button and the scale selector are all very interesting additions from TipTop, following the core idea of the module. Starting from the bottom, we have the polyphonic part, which we will explore later, then the pulse outputs, and immediately over those, the pulse inputs. And yes, this kind of screams for the need for a tip-top shorting bar. So yeah, let's hope it will become available in the future. And that's because these pulse inputs, these ones, are for triggering the sample and hold circuit, with the switch in downward position for sample and hold, and upward for the track and hold. Over the switches, each controlling the respective channel processing, we find the CV inputs, and as the line on the left implies, these are related, or kind of like as written, separated from the common polyphonic, and we'll see what I mean by the quotes around polyphonic input here. Last, for the original again with the quotes part of the module, we have the CV outputs with the resulting signal, what we are looking for in a quad sample and hold. And yeah, on the lower right, a general offset and the modulation with the input for the modulation. The most distinctive trait of the module is here in the bottom text. It's a polyphonic adapter. And as we know, polyphony in the strict sense is not particularly common in modular. The way this module implements it is via a cycling firing of the 4 outputs, going supposedly to 4 different destinations, and those destinations can be these pulse inputs, or you can even use these as just as a standalone section to divide one single gate trigger to, I don't know, 4 different trigs to make some strumming, for example. The idea is very easy, and yeah, it works like this. CV from the sequence goes in here with a switch on the right, and this is important, or the input will seem silent, and the gate on the right with a switch in the position of the preferred number of voices. So let's delete this sample and holdy patch from the 266 and let's start utilizing the 264. So let's try this with the 4 oscillators I have here from the 258. I will take one sequence from the 245 and run the 4 cycling gates to the 4 inputs of the 292. The oscillators are all tuned on the same note, whatever that is, and I put them on different wave shapes, so we can kinda keep track of which is playing when. What you might not or partially seeing is the 207 with the Strymon magneto acting as a send return effect. But okay, let's try. I know this looks like a lot. It looks a bit cumbersome, but we chose the modular path in our lives. So yeah, this is what you do with 4 copies of the same inputs here and outputs here. So Okay. These are these 258 here, and they are going to the AB inputs on the 292, and yeah, the B and C in the 207, panned one a bit to the left and one a bit to the right. We can also add a bit of magneto. And I don't know if you can see it from there. If the LEDs are bright enough, it should be okay. But the minimum number of voices is obviously 2, because otherwise it wouldn't be cycling. So right now we are just utilizing half of the 264. And this is the oscillator warming up and me touching stuff. Maybe I should just get only TipTop stack cables. But yeah, we are just hearing this one. Then we can add the third oscillator, moving the switch in the center position. And the beautiful part of this is that we are still utilizing the same sequence, but the gates are firing in different orders. So a different note of the same sequence, so the notes are still the same, but a different note will hit a different oscillator. And this is something I always liked in other instruments as well, like the Moog Matriarch that had the round robin mode. This is round robin. And yeah, the final position of the switch on the right is for all the 4 voices. Okay, let's add the magneto on those voices too. Okay. And yeah, this is in sample and hold mode. And in case you didn't know this already, let's turn down some pitch here. The difference between sample and hold and track and hold is how frozen in time is the incoming CV signal. With sample, the signal will be kept until a new pulse is received, so we kind of hear very steady notes. And with track, there will be new information being passed for as long the pulse is active. And in this case, it's actually better to call it gate signal, because it acts as an open gate for signal to flow. So for example, we switch it into track mode, and as an example, you can hear I can modify the notes in real time. Whether with sample and hold, I can move the notes as much as I want, but until a new pulse is received, they are not updating. The most useful feature of this is making glissandos. I'm not capable now to show that, but yeah, or you can do it by hand. And one last thing to check out, maybe, is the general offset that, as expected, offsets the signal. And it is CV controllable. Okay, I know this is not very exciting. This is not maybe not the most musical example, but okay, it's a demo. So yeah, the sound we heard was sample and holded. I know you cannot say that, but it didn't sound very quantized in the, I cannot even say proper sense, but in the sense we are accustomed to with modules and music and in general working with notes. So why did I say Quantizer? Why even the video is called the quantization of the 264? And the first part, the one we are seeing here, is that this is actually a form of quantization. And quantization by itself just means being able to offer a subdivision of quantifiable events that we do not perceive. And I say perceive because many times, even with sample rates in the recording, there would be some sample and holding going on, and there would be some quantifiable measures. Otherwise, we wouldn't be choosing a specific number for our recordings. So the idea is that the perception of the signal we are working with is below a certain threshold that we can then quantify in our perception. So yeah, in this portion of the video, I would have liked to show you some kind of downsampling made with external audio coming into the 207. But the situation is that even though this 264 is way better at tracking higher clocks, so a very fast gate signal, way better than the 266 that at a certain point just gives up, it is still not very capable of doing that. Yes, it can. Yes, it sounds like a very distant song played through a very teeny speaker, but there is very little range of control with the gate signal you can apply before it just breaks up. And this is kind of also the sum of what some Buchla savvy people would have spotted in a sort of conflict of interest between the sample and hold present here and this one. Because yes, this is a quad sample and hold, and this is true, but for example, some features are also present on the 266. We have the cycling outputs from, you put the pulse in and then you get the alternating, and it's alt because it's just two, so we can use alternate instead of cycling, but this is kind of the same idea. And we put our sequence in the CV in, we can then just take these alternating CV outs and kind of do the same of half of an ancient 260/40, because now we have to go into the upper portion, into the quantizer, like the real quantizer, the quantizer that you think of when we say quantizer, and the one that is useful for unattended patches. And I think the reason why we all got an ornamenting crime at some point in our modular career. So, okay, for the next magic trick, we will need an art-equipped module. So I will have to switch from the 258s to 259. So let's try to do the YouTube magic trick, and here I did the switch, which took way too longer than I anticipated. But magic of the video. So I put the 259 in and I already calibrated it. So we should be ready to go. By connecting the art outputs to the inputs of the 259, obviously in art mode, we are ready to use the scale selector, which is a clicking encoder. And no, this is not clickable, so it offers a smooth range going from minor to chromatic and major. And I know this is not the most fully featured scale quantizer, and there is no ancient Southwest Mongolian diminished contrary scale, but I mean, we already have minor, chromatic, and major, and we can even choose the root note. So it is very, very, very useful in a Buchla system, because I know the Buchla microtonal stuff, experimental, explorative stuff, but sometimes we just want the notes to stay there, to stay put, to stay where we put them. If you notice, this time I'm running just one cable from the 264 to the 259, and that's because the ART protocol is able to carry both the CV and gate signal to the same standard cable. Now I'm using the stack cables just for a bit clearer image, because those are white and the other ones I have are all in different colors. But yeah, you can use any cable you want. And we can then take the gate out from the 259 and pass it to the 292 or wherever we want. One little thing is that we do not have any way to control the gate length from here, but this will be passed from the main gate from the source. So if we increase the length, okay, let's add some magneto just for dramatic effect. Okay, and yeah, now we are hearing a very clearly minor scale, chromatic, and at least now we can hear recognizable notes compared to the 258 arrangement. And now we are in major. And yeah, the root note of your choice. And I love the 259 so much. For example, yeah, by using just one lane for this, we then have 3 other lanes to do other cool stuff. Let's pick the C and let's go here. Okay, and I don't know, D through the harmonics. I don't want to get too carried away, but maybe before wrapping up, is probably best to remember that when in art mode, the 259 behaves a bit differently than in the standard mode, and the right big pitch knob now controls the octave. Very, very convenient. Okay, and the left big knob controls the distance between the oscillators in semitones. Very lovely for some hands-on control without destroying everything without the quantization. And this is for just for detuning. And differently from usual, the zero amount of detuning is completely to the left. Oh man, this is just good. And another great thing is that now the offset and the modulation are also quantized, or I mean, they are not quantized, but they will end up being quantized when they are sent here. So we can make usable change in the sequencing of our pitch. Love it. Now it's finally possible to perform safely within the realm of tuned pitch, because it's not even about the microtonal versus the equal temperament and whatnot. It is about being confident that when you move these, you can then go back to where you started, because you might be having something else going on. You might be having another oscillator that you want to be in a specific relationship with this oscillator. And with this relationship, you can then get microtonal or whatever you like, but you have to have some kind of reference for this to happen. But I'd say this is all for today. I hope you found this video useful. Oh, and by the way, the auto-tune is just for the relationship. Just press it and boom, done. But if this is tuned already and this is already in the same case, don't worry about the button. And yeah, that's all, and see you next time. Ciao.